You know, we all have a health record, and you probably think of it as, well, just a file your doctor keeps, right? But what if I told you that file has a secret life, a whole second life that's incredibly important and, yeah, deeply legal? In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on that story. So picture this. You leave the doctor's office, the visit's over, and your chart gets closed. What happens then? Does it just sit in a folder somewhere or on a server collecting digital dust? Not at all. In fact, that's the exact moment its journey into the legal world really kicks off.
And this is really the main idea here. Your health record is so much more than just medical notes. It's a full-blown legal document. Sure, it helps doctors communicate and track your care, but its other job, its secondary role as legal evidence, that's just as critical. It can literally be the star witness in everything from malpractice lawsuits to criminal cases.
So, let's get specific. What exactly is a legal health record? Well, think of it as the official version of your medical story, the one that can be presented in a court of law. It has to be accurate, it has to be complete, and it has to be defensible. It becomes the one and only source of truth when legal questions pop up about the care you received.
Okay, so this brings up a huge question, right? Who's actually in charge of this powerful document? When it's first created, who holds the keys? Let's dive into the really important ideas of control and consent.
It all starts with your consent. This is your very first act of control. You know, just by showing up for a checkup, you're giving a kind of general consent. But for something major, like surgery, you'll need to give what's called informed consent. That means you've had a detailed chat about all the risks, the benefits, the alternatives, and that conversation, it becomes a crucial entry in your record.
Now, this is a super important distinction to understand. You, the patient, you own the information in your record. It is your story, after all. But the hospital or the clinic, they own the physical file, whether it's paper or a digital record. They are the legal custodians, and it's their job to keep it safe and secure.
And your control doesn't just apply to what's happening today. You can make legally binding decisions about your future care through what are called advanced directives. These documents make sure your voice is heard and your wishes are followed, even if you get to a point where you can't speak for yourself.
All right, now for the dramatic part. Let's follow the record as it steps into the spotlight in the legal system. This is where every single note, every timestamp, every detail in that file can literally make or break a case.
So how does a medical dispute actually end up in court? It pretty much follows these 4 steps, but the one you really want to focus on is step 2, discovery. This is the evidence gathering phase, and you guessed it, it's where your health record takes center stage.
But how do lawyers get their hands on your record? They can't just ask for it. The answer is a subpoena. It's a formal, legally binding order from a court that forces a healthcare provider to turn over the record as evidence.
And it's not as simple as just emailing the file over. Often, a health information management professional, or HIM professional for short, has to actually go to court. Their whole job is to swear under oath that the record they're presenting is the real deal, complete, original, and totally unaltered. So why would a record get subpoenaed in the first place? Well, in healthcare, the reason is almost always a claim of negligence. That's the legal term for when a patient believes a provider was careless and that carelessness caused them harm. And what's the #1 piece of evidence in that fight? The health record.
Now, to win a negligence case, a lawyer has to prove all 4 of these things. Think of it like a checklist. Did the doctor have a duty to care for you? Yes. Did they breach that duty? Yes. Did that specific breach cause an injury? Yes. And was there a real measurable harm? Yes. The answers to all of these questions are hunted for within the pages of that health record.
So, after all this potential legal drama, what happens to your health record in the long run? I mean, it can't be kept forever, can it? Let's talk about the final chapter in its life, how long it's kept, and how it's eventually destroyed. According to the American Health Information Management Association, which is a major player in the field, the standard best practice is to keep adult health records for at least 10 years after a patient's last visit. And that 10-year window is really important because it usually covers the time limit or statute of limitations for filing most lawsuits.
But, of course, it's not always that simple. There are other rules in the mix. For example, federal Medicare regulations say records have to be kept for at least 5 years. So healthcare organizations have to juggle all these different rules, state, federal, and professional, and they always have to follow whichever one is the strictest.
But here's a really interesting detail. While your detailed medical notes might eventually be destroyed, your core identity within that healthcare system, that's permanent. The Master Patient Index, you can think of it like the facility's permanent address book that links your name to your medical record number. That is kept forever.
And when a record's legal life is finally over, its destruction has to be absolute. We're talking completely and irreversibly gone. For paper, that means shredding, burning, or pulverizing. For electronic files, it means overwriting the data or degaussing, which is using a super powerful magnet to completely wipe the drive clean.
Okay, so we follow the entire life of a health record, from the exam room to the courtroom and beyond. But let's zoom out for a second. Why does any of this actually matter to you as a patient? The answer is simple. It's all about empowerment.
It matters because it's all tied to quality. You know, when you see that a hospital is accredited, that's basically a seal of approval. It means an independent group has come in and checked everything, including how they manage and protect your health records to make sure they're providing safe, high-quality care.
Look, at the end of the day, knowledge is power. When you understand your rights, your right to consent, to see your own information, and to plan for your future, you change your role. You go from being just a passive patient to being an active partner in your own healthcare. You're helping to write your own story.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Your health record isn't just a bunch of data. It's the official story of your health. The real question is, are you an active character in that story? By asking questions, staying informed, and understanding your rights, you can make sure that your story is told accurately and completely. Thanks for watching.